Hi, Ivan. It's Nick here. Martin is doing dad baby things, and so he wasn't able to do the call. I did record it earlier, and he was there, but for some reason Skype didn't record, so a bit irritating. So I'm just redoing this whole thing again, all for the cause, of course. So the first thing I'm going to do is do this. So it's all looking a bit weird. I'll just pop that over there. Now, I've already scored this, but I'll go through the whole thing from the top. Now, just to explain what's going on, the Vuber kind of failed us. They do this in about 7 to 10% of the time. Somebody cancelled. They couldn't get another Vuber in quickly enough. So the agent thinks we've been there, which is interesting. Now, this is important as well because if an agent believes we've viewed the property, they will then take an offer from us. And therefore, that's kind of important. And I think this property is definitely worth offering on, by the way. But I'm going to go through it with the limited information we've got and just give you my overview on all the vitals, really. So the very first thing I'll get into is the condition. Now, I don't know if you can see in this, but perhaps if I go here, I'll show you. So this is incredibly central for Stockport. It's like really central. And let's go here. All right, this is number 88. Now, one of the things you'll see here, if you notice all the dots on the bottom, that means that it's been damp proofed. So this is good. If property's been damp proofed, there shouldn't be any damp inside it. Now, we have limited information on this. Um, so, I'm kind of going off what I know about these kind of properties in general, and then just, well, you'll see, and you'll take your own view on it as you do. Now, it's had double glazing put in fairly recently, I would say in the last 15 years. And sorry, I'm getting over a cold, so it's not a nervous cough, it's just me going. And we can see here it was sold in 2007. I suspect that's when the renovation was done. So 2004 to 7 was the run up into the last property cycle, and I suppose somebody did the renovation back then and took care of essentials like the capital growth, the damp proofing, the double glazing, and also a very extensive refurbishment. So with these old buildings, there's a type of coving which you get in terraced houses with original ceilings, and this looks like it's been ripped out and put back in again. And there's a couple of reasons for this, a few reasons actually. One is you got this lamp, which actually that wouldn't be a reason for it. No. So the first thing is the coving. That is more modern coving. It's the type of coving you buy in a builder's merchants. You cut into slices or cut into lengths, and then you bond it onto the ceiling. Second, you got this strip here, and that's straight, and you don't get that with plaster and lath. Plaster and lath is strips of wood, and then you plaster over it, and it just after a while it's just not great, and it can fall down, and it's just doesn't look good. But I think all of this has been done, and this is great because it's fundamentals that have been taken care of. And we can see we've got a nice fireplace here. Somebody spent a little extra to make that nice. They blocked it up, obviously, but you could put a nice little gas fire in there or something really nice feature thing if you wanted to. Somebody spent the money on the fundamentals, along with, as I said, decent double glazing. So this hasn't been decorated for a long time. This ceiling needs replacing with plasterboard and you put insulation underneath and so on. But it needs replacing. And um, So the next thing is, I think Martin might be back. I'm just going to pause. Be right back. Okay, just getting back into this. I was messaging with Martin, so he might show up in a minute. We'll see. And um, so getting back into this ceiling needs replacing. That's not a particularly big job. And the kitchen needs redoing. All of this needs redecorating because it hasn't been looked after for, it's a 20-year-old, 15 to 18-year-old um, uh, interior. Again, that coving tells me that they ripped out the original ceiling. They've got plasterboard in. So all the fundamentals are pretty good here. Now, I don't know whether that's a dehumidifier or just a heater, by the way. There may be some damp issues here, but if there were, that kind of doesn't really make sense to me because separating walls tend not to get damp, really. Um, they, yeah, they tend not to get damp because there's no reason for it to get damp unless there's a hole in the roof or something. You won't get rising damp all the way up there. So I don't think that's a problem. There's something going on here, but this is upstairs, remember, so it's not rising damp. It could be just simply the walls need pointing so that the moisture can't get in, or it's just dirty and needs a clean. But I'm not that worried about the damp. And as I say, I think the fundamentals are good. It might be that there was a leaking gutter or something like that, and you had moisture on the outside wall making this messy. But then you fix the gutter and it's all done. So from that point of view, I don't think it's much of a deal. The this little room is so. Bathroom could do with upgrading. You could probably get away with leaving the lavatory alone, but a more modern basin, and you might even just get away with not upgrading the bathroom. I don't know. It's up to you, but I would assume you should. Backyard just needs a really good clean, a jet wash. If you bring all those tiles up so they're nice and clean again, it'll look lovely. And here we are here. Yeah, it's a solid wall, by the way. I mean, sorry, cavity wall, which is good. And the EPC on this is reasonably okay. And I think there are a few anomalies here, like they say, solid brick. Now, the thing that really surprises me, and they say no insulation in the roof. I just don't believe that, or they never got in there. Um, Usually, what they say is if they don't know, they assume, but there's no reference to an assumption here. So I find that odd, and I don't know what's going on with that. Okay, now just carrying on the okay, sorry, lots of messaging going on all over the place. All right, let's talk about the so from a condition point of view, I think it's all pretty okay. I don't know what the roof is like, but one way of telling if the roof is damaged is obviously look here, but I can't. But what I can do is tell you that if I zoom out and zoom up to the satellite view on this, one thing that's quite interesting is that if you take if we go back to, where is it? Yeah, going back here we are, this road here. If you notice on this side, the roofs vary somewhat, and that's probably because the slates have gone and they've just decided, right, we're going to re-roof because we have to. And here we see that all the roofs are kind of the same, that none have been moved. So what that tells me is that the slates are probably quite good, and it's probably an original roof, and that's okay. And the roof is probably decent and probably does not need replacing. Now, let's just see if we can get a view from here. No, we can't. That's annoying. All right. And as you see, it's a co-op supermarket, so really good. There'll be traffic kind of flowing in and out all day, but that'll be okay. Now, from a location point of view, it's exceptionally good. And from kind of access to central Manchester, it's about half an hour or thereabouts. But this is exceptional. And it's quiet, and there isn't very much crime in this area. The crime levels are pretty low. The demographics are pretty good as well. So it's very middle class around there, and a bit of private rented, but not excessively so. So it's a lot of owner occupiers, which is healthy. It's just a very regular, nice area. It's urban, kind of dense urban, and I feel that it is that this it's just a sweet would make a great rent basically. So this is all very healthy. And if we zoom out a bit more and we look at capital growth in this area, it's really very good across the board. So I'll just explain a few things. I've got my charts. Markets work in cycles. This is definite cycle number 9, possibly number 10 if you include that little peak, which was World War One. And that's 2008. We had a crash, we had a recovery, a correction, all of that. And now we're somewhere about here. So we're in the boom phase. We've got 3 or 4 more years left of this, and then it's another reset. So now is a good time to buy before it gets too toppy. This is house price affordability based on percentage of income paid over for mortgages. So this is a really interesting piece of data, and what it shows is that every time you have a peak, you've got this. So it factors in the fact that the reason I love this is because back then you had higher interest rates. And in fact, I'm going to add the interest rate chart to this because I think it's quite helpful. And we can see here low interest rates, affordability reasonably good. And whenever you have a peak, guess what? Affordability declines. And we have quite a lot of headroom here, assuming interest rates don't rise that much and inflation isn't too aggressive, then we will see this creep up. So it's just a natural cycle. And when I look at this area from a capital growth point of view, I just think this whole area is good. And I see a lot of headroom. I see a lot of upside on this. And I just think it's an incredibly strong area as a whole. The whole area is good. And when you get this kind of widespread, strong capital growth, it's good. So we've seen 14% inflation adjusted capital growth since 2018. It's probably a bit higher now. If we look at the postcode district data, we can see we don't have rental data for this, but that's okay. It's a strong local market, very strong. And we can see that in 3 years, it's gone up by 23%, which is about right, and 14% for real. And that's because just it's a really strong area as a whole. Now, in respect to previous, so there's a couple of things I can do here, in fact, and I'm just going to go here. I didn't do this before, I should have done. But Martin has done the assessment and he thinks the price is about right. I just want to see if we can find 88. There it is. So let's just see if we can find, there's only one picture, so we don't know what it looked like in the past. Okay. Now, I'm going to just do a couple of things now. One is the renovation costs. It does need quite a lot of work. I did this earlier just to save time, and I think it needs a new kitchen, new bathroom. It needs a complete redecoration, but it doesn't need to go back to brick, which is great. And it's going to need new carpets, new hardwood flooring. Some of the walls are going to need stripping. I assume the worst, and therefore I assume it'll be about £17,000 to £18,000. Now, based on this little calculator, let's say it's 155 now. I think £170,000 or even a touch over that will buy it, but I'll only know when I talk to the agent and just get a feel for what's going on. Therefore, I think that if we assume 170, if we assume 18,000 on renovation, good properties in this area are going for £190,000 just because of the amazingly good location. And if you look at the yield numbers, if we assume £900 rent after renovation costs, that's at 5.74. That's pretty healthy. We're creeping towards the 6. Let's say that it's all tidied up and you get lucky and you find a really good tenant and they pay 950 for it. You're over, 940, you're around 6%, which is very good. So I think it's a really nice investment. It's the kind of deal I would personally want to own because it's such a good location. So I've scored it, and let's just run through those scores. So we have lots of scores. So as you can see, I've done a lot of these with Martin. And on condition, it needs a bit of work, but the fundamentals are good. And the next thing is the location is excellent. The area is really good. It's good on crime. It's pretty low crime. Demographics are excellent. The capital growth is phenomenal. It'll sell quickly. The price is not delusional. In other words, I think it's good. It'll rent quickly, and I think the yield is actually very, very solid, and that gives it a 4.18, which is well above average. It's very strong. So as you can see, lots of properties don't hit that score, but this does. It gets over the 4.0 threshold, which makes it a really good property. And overall, so let's just finish here. So let's go to the main. There we go. Yeah, overall, I really like this property, and I think if you're prepared to go through the renovation on it, this is even better. We've had a couple of deals come through where we've had this sort of situation. It's really good. One thing I want to quickly check is just the floor. Two things. The floor plan. Is there a floor plan? Yes, there is. And it works. Sorry, I'll just flip over to the other screen. There we are. Yeah, the floor plan works, and they've done the layout properly so that you've got privacy and you've got the landing. So you've got the landing up. I'm just not quite clear how that works at the top of the. I don't quite understand how it all connects together. From here, you go up, then you go up, and then at the top, I don't really understand. So this goes through here, and somehow you've got some kind of. I don't quite understand how the bathroom and the bedroom all connect together, but it looks as though you should be able to get from there to there. Unless the floor plan isn't done right or something. It's something that doesn't make a great deal of sense to me, just by the way this is laid out. But that aside, I think it should be okay. I don't think it's going to be compromised. All right. Yeah, okay. I really like it. And the way I would handle all of this is I would make an offer. I hope you do. And then I would say, subject to, if the offer is seriously considered, we'd like to get the builder in to do a second viewing or some spiel like that. And then we can get Vuber in to do a final sweep to make sure it's all okay. And subject to that, then we're good to go. So that's how I'd like to play this. I hope you would like to do that too. All right. Thank you.